joke.
Any Cardinals fans in the house? Come on. No. You're from Phoenix, people. So I don't care if you like the Bears. You're a Phoenician tonight, and so therefore tonight you are a Cardinals fan because Sam Acho's in the house. Is there any Cardinals fans in the house tonight? Come on, everybody.
Awesome.
Good. All right. So here's a cool thing. I started seeing this really big black dude coming in, like. In September, and I was like, wow, man, that guy's ripped, you know? And then I went up and met him, and I put my hand, like, up here. I don't even know what they call this. I know people who work out.
It's a
What's
trap.
that? Is that what it's called? Okay, cool.
Trap.
So I grabbed that, and I thought, usually, like, Brian's right here. I'm sorry, bro, but I can, like, squeeze that. And with like, Sam, I was, like, broke my fingers. Like, it was, like, pure muscle. And then somebody was like, oh, this is Sam Acho, and he plays for the Cardinals. And I was like, you know, it's awesome. So, I mean, Sam and I have gotten to know each other over the last few months, and man, this guy loves Jesus. You know, I mean, he just loves Jesus. So, let me just say right off the bat, the thing I hate about these things is like this. Hey, Sam, so you love Jesus and you play football. That's awesome. So you guys should love Jesus because Sam loves Jesus and he plays football, right? So why don't you tell them about how you play football and love Jesus simultaneously as if it's some weird thing that nobody can do, right? And try to set you up. We just thought it'd be really cool to talk and for you guys to get to know Sam the way that we've gotten to know him. And he's got a really cool story and God's done some amazing things with our lives and with his life. And we just get to be a part of that. We get to join him in his story and all that good stuff. So this is Brian. Brian's on the board. I think you guys most of you know that. But Brian's also one of my best buddies. So that's why he's up here doing this with me.
Jeff is like a girl. He can't go to the bathroom alone. Or can he come to the stage alone? Thus, here I am. Sam, I'm sorry for everything.
Brian, would you interview with me?
Yeah. Well, man, it is an honor to be with you tonight. Thanks for joining us. You know, the cool part, I think, as Jeff was saying, is that Sam he's one of us. And I just love for you to, we had two Nigerians on the stage tonight.
No question.
Where does that happen in America? Come on, tell me about that.
Ike's Nigerian, yeah.
You need to get working on your dreadlocks.
I know, I've been trying and they just don't grow for some reason or another. I'm far behind.
So now that Jeff and I have taken 7 minutes of a 5-minute interview, let's get to you,
Brian,
man. Can you
stop it?
Can you give us just the snapshot of how you got to Arizona? I know it's a long journey, but tonight over dinner, I thought you did a great job. So tell us a little bit about your journey, even in your journey to football and ultimately to the Arizona Cardinals.
Definitely. Well, first of all, I'm so glad to be in Arizona. So thank you guys for letting me come out here. It's funny because, and Jeff said it, I already feel like I'm a part of the PhoenixONE family. Some people told me about it, and I got a chance to come by, and I've been coming ever since. And so, I mean, I'm always here. I love it. And I was telling them how, you know, we meet every first and third Tuesday. So the second and fourth Tuesdays, I feel like empty. I feel like I'm missing something. You know, I don't know if anybody else feels that way. That's how I feel like on the off week. So I love it. But so yeah, I started off. We were joking earlier because we were sitting down earlier
about the inner city.
Yeah, like most. If you guys ever meet any, whether NFL or NBA players, the story you usually hear is, my mom's on drugs, my dad's in jail. All my brothers and sisters are from different parents. You know what I mean? And now I made it to the league, and now I'm balling. You know what I mean? That's the story that you hear, right? And and my story is totally different from any of that. Like, I went to a small private school in Dallas. Grew up Dallasites in here. Okay, respect. Went to a small private school in Dallas.
Be honest.
Okay, let me give you the whole story. It was an all-boys college prep school. So from second grade, it was funny because I was getting pretty good grades in first grade.
Was it in the inner city?
It wasn't even near the inner city. It wasn't even close to the inner city. Like when kids at my school turned 16, like they were on my Sweet 16. Like that's how it was. That's like, we actually had a kid at my school who won the national spelling bee, like the national script spelling bee. He won that. He was in my grade. His name's Sai Gunturi, so that's the school I went to.
Spell that for us.
You know what I mean? I could get his name. That's about it. First name only. Yeah. And so anyways, I grew up just going to school, and my parents' goal was, hey, you get your education, go to college, you'll be good. You'll be fine. And as I started getting older, I started playing sports, football, basketball, track, just, doing the normal thing that all kids do. And then my junior year, I started getting a couple, letters and interest from small schools like, SMU, the schools in the area. And so I was like, well, let me go to a football camp and see what it's all about. And so for some reason, I always wanted to go to USC, not because they're a team or anything, just because the weather in California is awesome.
Way to cover yourself, bro.
I'm just saying.
Way to cover yourself.
And so I went
in Sun Devil land. Way to cover yourself.
That's the only reason. And so I went to this USC football camp. There was about 300 kids there. 295 of them were from California, and I was just one of the few that just signed up. Was like, let's try it out. So I go there and I do really well. And Coach Pete Carroll asked me to come up to his office.
Pete Carroll of the Seahawks.
Of the Seahawks,
yes.
Who I do not like.
Okay.
Just in case anyone asks, I was happy when they lost. I apologize if I offend anybody, but I was giving my parents high fives and everything. I was like, yes. They hurt us. So Coach Carroll asked me to come up to his office, and I go up there, and he's like, hey, Sam, you did a great job at this camp. I want to offer you a scholarship. And I'm like, whoa, hold on. He's like, well, here's the deal. We have another camp coming up in a month with 300 more kids, so we'll let you know about the scholarship then. I'm like, all right, cool. So we'll call you in the next couple of days. I was like, all right, cool. Well, Coach, in the next couple of days, I'm actually going to be going to Nigeria on a missions trip. So, my parents were born and raised in Nigeria, and they started a ministry called Living Hope Ministries, where we go back every summer, we get free medical care, we bring doctors, nurses, surgeons, dentists, ophthalmologists, and do all this really cool work. And that was going to be the first time I went. So I told him, I said, hey, I'm going to be going to Nigeria, so if you call me, I don't pick up, don't be offended, I'm out of the country. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so he's like, yeah, don't worry about it. So, the next week comes, and I'm in the airport, and I get a call, and it's Pete Carroll. And he's saying, hey, Sam, I'm excited. We thought about it and want to offer you a scholarship. And it was the recruiting coach who actually called me and said, hey, we want to offer you a scholarship. Here's Pete Carroll. I'm going to give him the phone. Tell him, hey, I want to be a Trojan, and you'll be good to go. And at that point, I was like, I wasn't really ready to make that decision because I wanted to look at other schools and the whole nine. And so he's like, well, here's Coach Carroll. Just tell him what you want to say. And so he gives him the phone, and I'm like, hey, Coach, how you doing? Just kind of didn't know what to say. And so he's like, so, Sam, what do you have to say? And I was like, well, Coach, I'm really excited about a possible opportunity to maybe one day be a Trojan, kind of worded my way around it. And he was like, all right, well, here's the other coach. So he puts the other coach on the phone. He's like, what'd you do? And I was like, I got to go, bye, hang up. and so I get on a flight and go to Nigeria, and I'm stressed out the whole flight. My dad's like, dude, calm down. It's going to be fine. Your life's not over. And so we leave. We come back to the States, and I look at my phone. I had no service in Nigeria. I look at my phone, and I have 40 missed calls, 35 voicemails, almost 100 texts. And I listen to one of the first voicemails, and it's my high school football coach who leaves a message. He says, hey, Sam, I don't know where you're at. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know why you're not picking up your phone, but call me as soon as you can. Your life's about to change. And so what had happened was he had put my highlight tape on this recruiting website called Rivals, and all the coaches had seen that and caught wind of that, and so all the college coaches were calling me, offering me scholarships. So Bob Stoops was calling, Steve Cragthorpe was calling, all these coaches, Paul Williams, all these coaches were calling to offer me a scholarship. And it was funny, I didn't have the reaction that I guess most people would have of excitement or anything. I was actually overwhelmed and somewhat nervous. I remember getting on an elevator because we stopped in New York before I went back to Dallas just to spend the night. We had to catch a different flight. I got in the elevator, and there was a little 6-7-year-old boy who walked on the elevator with me. And I'm listening to a message. I'm like, man, this is Coach Carroll calling again. Man, leave me alone, And then, and so I'm like, man. So I hang up the phone, and that little 7-year-old kid was like, excuse me, mister, sorry to bother you, but was that Pete Carroll on the phone? And I was like,
shut up, kid.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, what do you mean?
Where's your mom and dad? Go get a popsicle.
Yeah, it's not past your curfew, man. What's going on? And so I'm like, yeah, it's Pete Carroll, man. He's calling me, offering a scholarship, whatever. It's annoying. And then this kid was like, well, sorry, man, but I don't know about you, but I'd be really, really excited if I had Pete Carroll calling me. and I'm like, yeah.
Then he disappeared.
Yeah, he disappeared, grew some wings and flew up to, I was like, anyway, so that really humbled me. And so I ended up going to the University of Texas, played 4 years there. Awesome. And so I played 4 years there, and then got drafted to the Cardinals in the 4th round 2 years ago. So I just finished up my 2nd year with the Arizona Cardinals.
Now here, one of the questions I think is really cool about, one of the things about your story and the question that goes along with it. Now, I know that 4th round deal for you was not fun. And I think it ties into, one of the things I think for sports figures, and I think for all of us, is our identities get so wrapped up into kind of the things we do. And I think for sports figures, man, your whole identity is wrapped up a lot of times in how you perform and what your stats, what your reel looks like and all that, things like that. So talk a little bit about that 4th round pick for you and kind of what that was for you. I mean, what that was as you were going into the NFL.
No doubt. Well, talking about identity, with football, your identity is basically wrapped up in a couple things. One, your 40 time, and 2, what round you get drafted in. And so I was hoping, people were telling me, hey, if you go to the combine and run fast, and if you do well in your interviews, and if you do well at the Senior Bowl, your draft stock's going to go up. I was already projected as a 4th, 5th round pick. So I went to the combine, did well, Senior Bowl did well, got MVP, killed the interviews. And so I'm thinking, I'm hearing from coaches and different people, hey, man, you're going to go in the 1st round or the 2nd round. It's going to be awesome. I'm like, all right, great.
Which, by the way, the payout on the 1st round is pretty sweet, too.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, the bonus you get.
Oh, yeah, pretty awesome. And so I, the 1st round day, I'm there, I'm watching, and I'm thinking I'm going to get picked up. And so I watch the whole 1st round, nothing happens. I'm like, no big deal. I'm going to go in the 2nd or 3rd round, which is day 2. So I go to sleep that night, wake up the next day. I'm like, all right, cool, this is my day.
You invited some friends over, too,
though.
Yeah,
Hey,
come on over, I'm going to get picked.
I had my friends drive down from Austin to Dallas, my family, my parents' friends, everybody that I ever met in life was going to be there that day. Matter of fact, if I would have known you guys, you all would have been there that day. And so I said, all right, sweet. So this is day 2. I'm going to get drafted mid-2nd round, maybe. The latest I ever heard was, 3rd round pick. So we watch the 2nd round, and no big deal. I don't get drafted. 3rd round comes. This is my round. I'm swagged up. I'm ready to go. And so next thing you know, like the 3rd round comes, and it's like around the end of the 3rd round, and I actually get a call from my agent, the call that I've been waiting for. Yes, sweet. I'm about to get drafted. Tell me which team. Tell me why, guys. My agent called me talking about, hey, Sam, have you heard from anybody yet? I'm kind of waiting on a call. Yeah. Like, the phone rang, and my parents were like, oh, let's go, I'm excited. And he was calling me to ask me if I'd heard anything. I was like, you can't be doing that. So that night comes and goes, and I hadn't been drafted. And so now I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do? Because I've been telling everybody that, hey, I'm about to play in the NFL, I'm going to go in the first 3 rounds, it's going to be awesome. That's what people expected. And at that point, I didn't know if I was even going to get drafted at all. You know what I mean? Because how it works is people tell you one thing and it usually doesn't happen. And so I went to sleep that night, and I was broken. Honestly, I was broken. I was confused. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, with my life right now. So I go to sleep, and I prayed that night, and I was like, all right, Lord, I'm giving this up to you. I thought I was going to go earlier, but honestly, Lord, just give me an opportunity, because all I want to do in the NFL is I want to give you glory. I know it's a huge platform. I know millions of people watch. I know we get paid a lot of money, but I want to just give you glory. That's my only goal. That's my sole purpose, to give you glory, point blank, period. So, Lord, just give me a chance. I said, even if I'm a free agent, Lord, just give me a chance, and I'll glorify you. So I go to sleep that night, wake up the next morning, and I told the people that night, because I didn't plan for a day 3. I didn't plan for round 4 through 7. So I was like, hey, guys, thanks for coming. I told them that night before I went to sleep, before I prayed that prayer, I was like, if you guys want to come back tomorrow, we'll have some stuff going on, but don't get your hopes up, because mine aren't. And so some people came by that next morning, and I remember waking up, going downstairs, and I was definitely humbled that day. And we just ordered some breakfast. So my mom was actually praying for the meal, and as soon as she said amen, the phone rang, and it was the Arizona Cardinals saying, hey, you've been drafted in the 4th round. Yeah.
Welcome to Arizona. That's a story, man.
Yeah.
And, you got a Goki note in there. I call that a Goki note about the signing bonus, and we were talking about that over dinner tonight. And, I just think it just bears who you are and where your focus really is and where it isn't. But you just on the Goki note, hello. Is anybody with me? On the Goki note, tell these folks about what happened with your signing bonus.
No doubt. So, all right, so I got a Goki note, which I'm still trying to figure out what that means. But
that's this right here.
Okay. So, first round pick, part of what comes with it is the fame. I'm a first rounder. Another part that comes with it is a lot of money. For instance, our first round pick got an $11.2 million signing bonus. Yeah, that's how I felt. And that's in addition to his salary. And so
you brush that off.
Yeah, yeah.
No, didn't need that.
So I get drafted in the 4th round, and I come, and when I got drafted, there was a lockout. So we didn't actually they called me, said, hey, congratulations, you're a Cardinal. And they said, we might not be able to call you for another couple months till this lockout ends, so just do what you're doing. I'm like, all right, what does that mean? So I actually just came, I don't know what it meant. So I just came out to Arizona, was working out, and then finally the lockout ended, so we could finally, get our signing bonuses, all that kind of stuff, and go up to training camp. And so the day came where I got my signing bonus. We had about maybe 30 minutes or an hour before we took the bus up to training camp. So they gave me this check, and I was like, okay. And let me just tell y'all, because it's online anyway. So my signing bonus, I had a $447,000 signing bonus. And so keep in mind, so I'm a 21, 22-year-old college student who just graduated. I remember when I was 18, my dad gave me $5,000 to start a bank account, my first ever bank account, put it in a Campus Edge checking account. Who had one of those around here? So I put it in a Campus Edge checking account. And so I put it in that account when I was 18, and it maybe added like 1,000 because I was spending and losing, whatever. And so anyways, I get my signing bonus, and we had about an hour, 30 minutes to an hour before we had to get on this bus. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was like, this is a really big check. I need to go put it in the bank. And so I go over to Bank of America.
I'd have had it in singles. I'd have had it in singles, baby. Roll.
You know what I mean? So I go over to Bank of America, and I'm like, I'm in a rush. I'm not trying to be late for this bus. I'm a rookie. I'm not trying to get in trouble for anything. So I just run over there. I give them the check, give them my ID. I'm like, all right, let's go. And so they look down, and they're like, all right, what is going on with this? So it's like they look. So they're looking. I'm just like, hurry up! I gotta go. I don't want to be late. So they look at this check. And they look at me, look back down, look up at me, and they're like, excuse me, sir, but you have a Campus Edge checking account? And I'm like, yeah. What do you mean? I'm a college kid. What do you mean? Hurry up! And I realized they're like, you might want to get that upgraded. And I'm like, oh my bad. I just got drafted.
Special accounts for that.
I said I'm not a drug dealer. I promise. And so.
Just making it rain.
Yeah. And so that was somewhat of like a welcome to the NFL.
Yeah, cool. So I think in line with that, okay, so you're a 22-year-old guy. You're broke, and you get a huge check. I think one of the things that professional sports is kind of notorious for is just that lavish life, and I can have whatever I want. And I've heard a lot of interviews and a lot of people saying, hey, you deserve this. You went all through college, man. Just go buy a big house. Go get the car you want. Go live the life that you didn't have. You've earned this. How does a man of God come to a moment where you get more money than you've ever had in your life, and you're asked the question, to whom much is given, much is required? Like, what do you do with that?
Yes, that was big for me. So one of my biggest concerns going along with that question was, okay, if I do make it to the NFL and get all this money, what am I going to do with it? I don't want to change. I don't want to, become one of those big spenders. I got 5 houses and 17 cars kind of thing. I didn't want to do that, and that was one of my biggest concerns. And so this guy, his name is Rudy Neiswanger, he's German, and he played in the NFL. And he told me this before I got drafted. He said, because I was like, hey, man, I'm nervous. Like, what do I do? He said, hey, man, like, all that the NFL is and all that money really is a magnifier. It's a magnifier. So whatever you had before, if you gave before, you'll just give more when you have more money. And if you were really greedy before and you kept a lot, you'll just keep more. And they even said, even with your lifestyle, if there was some stuff you were doing in the dark, once you get all this money, that stuff's going to eventually come out to the light. And so one thing I had to make sure to do was to make sure to maintain like my principles and my giving lifestyle. For the longest time since I was a kid, my parents had instilled in me, hey, you got to go back and you got to give. My parents were born and raised in Nigeria, and I'd been going back there and spending Christmas and New Year's every other year since I was like 2 or 3 years old. So I'd see just poverty and see people with nothing, kids my age who didn't have shirts or didn't have shoes. And so one thing I made sure to do was to say, all right, whenever I do get drafted or get a big check or whatever, I got to make sure to stay true to who I am, whether that means like continuing to tithe 10%, which was hard when you see a check of $447,000, and it's like, all right, that's 10%. You do the math, $47,000. You know what I mean?
Pastor's like,
yeah, you know what I mean? But that was one of the before I played my first game. That was one of the things I did out of that signing bonus. I took out $47,000 and gave it to my church back home in Dallas, and I'm not even saying that to get an applause. I'm saying that to say that I had to, because I knew that if I didn't do that with that amount, then God's not going to entrust me with more, whether it be with money or whether it be whatever it is. It's true. Whether it be with money or whether it be with how you are with people. If God can't trust you with the little things, how can he trust you with the big things? And so, even this year, I didn't have the signing bonus, but even with my base salary, I had to make sure to give 10%, which is a lot of money, but it was like, I got to do it. I have to do it. And it became something where it was like, okay, I have to do this okay, I want to do this. So if I do this, God's going to bless me. He says, give, and it'll be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, running over. And what I've seen is that every time I give, whether it be my money or whether it be just my time, because as an NFL player, there are a lot of demands on your time. We're up early, we're outside, we're doing all this stuff. Whether it be my money or my time, God seems to bring it full circle and give me more than I could even have asked for.
Yeah, one of the cool things that, as we were talking and we've gotten to know each other, is, for Sam, it wasn't just a commitment to give 10% to his church. I think that's awesome. And in fact, I would encourage you to be giving to your local church. But one of the things that's talking to Sam is, like, I felt like God was asking me to not just do that, so I give to my local church, but there's things out there that I'm passionate about, right, that I need to give. And God's given me means to be able to go take to the world. He's given all of us that. He's given us all that. And it's just, it's not, oh man, well, he's got all this money, so he can just do all that. That's the same principle for all of us. It just looks a little different. But the thing I love about him is that he's setting an example for his generation. A consumeristic generation that says, me, mine, what about me? And I have my stuff, and I have my rent, and it's all about me. And in this moment, I go, wait, hold on. Everything I have has been given to me for the glory of God. So what am I going to do with this? And to ask that question. And I love that you've wrestled with it. And I love that you've moved forward in obedience to that. And honestly, before your peers, PhoenixONE has benefited from Sam's commitment to giving. Amen. And I want to say that in front of all of you, to say thanks, Sam, but also go, I just love when people move forward in obedience in spite of what the norm is. I think it's so awesome.
And it's true, too. Thank you. It's true, too, talking about being a steward of things. I remember, who all here has Twitter? I'm assuming everybody. Matter of fact, if you don't have Twitter, raise your hand. Okay, that's like a couple
What?
people. Wow.
Are you serious?
Okay.
21st century?
Get your phones out. No.
Oh my
no,
gosh.
And so I remember tweeting the other day saying, or, maybe a month or so ago, about like gifts. There's a verse in Proverbs that says, a man's gift makes room for him. It puts him in front of kings. And so I tweeted, asked, people that were on Twitter, hey, what is your gift? And so think about that question for a second. Like, what is your gift? Everybody has a different gift. You've been given something different. And a gift that's not really yours, it's just yours to steward, to take care of, and to expand God's kingdom. For some people it may be, for one of my friends, he's here right there, his name is Andre, he's an artist. And he can draw, he can paint, he makes sure, he does all these unbelievable designs. That's not my gift, that's his gift. For someone else, it may be taking care of people. You might have a heart of gold and you just take care of people. For someone else, it might be, you might be able to make a lot of money. You might be a great businessman. You might just be it could be anything. But what is your gift and how are you stewarding that gift? How are you using your gift to show people who God is? That's the real question. So for me, part of that gift is to be able to encourage people and in the locker room, have joy. The NFL and the locker room, you hear about it, it's a dark place, it's a dark world, and when I thought when I got drafted, I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to go to Arizona, and I'm going to change the whole, I want to change everybody in the locker room. That was my goal. I wanted to show them Christ. And what I've seen is that even in my time trying to show my teammates Christ, the Lord has opened up some doors to show the trainers, our athletic trainers, to show them Christ, and to show our coaches and even other people in our staff Christ. And so I'm over here focusing on, this guy on the team and that guy and that guy. And God's opening the doors wide open for our athletic trainers. And even my special teams coach came up to me the other day, and he's like, "Hey, Sam, what was that verse that you always talk about?" And even every time he will be, I don't think anybody here knows this, but we'll be in special teams meetings, and my special teams coach he'll say a curse word every now and then, and as soon as he curses, he'll be like, sorry, Sam, I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry." And I'm like, you don't have to.
What the?
Yeah. I was like, it's not me. You know what I mean? Like, apologize to God. I don't know, But anyways, he's opened up some doors just because I've been using my gift to glorify God. And so I'd encourage everybody out there that whatever your gift is, it could be anything. I mean, it could be anything. But whatever that gift is, make sure you're using it. You're being a good caretaker of it. Because if God can trust you with that, He's going to be able to trust you with so much more.
You told us a story a little bit earlier tonight as we kind of shift gears a little bit about the pressure of playing in the NFL. And this year was a unique year for you, and there were some unique reasons for that. But there was one particular game that I think has taught you some lessons this year, some godly lessons, and I'd love for you to share that with us.
No, definitely. Yes, we were talking earlier, and I was just thinking, because I was thinking about, people my age, people sitting down in these seats right now, like in our generation, and I'm thinking about, like, man, like we're a passionate group of people. You know what I mean? We're passionate about what we eat and what we don't eat. We're passionate about saving the earth. We're passionate about all these things, but then it's like, why are we not passionate about Jesus? Like, I was thinking, why we could be so passionate about going green, or passionate about, I'm not eating this because it was raised there. You know what I mean? Or you could be, we're even passionate about our football teams, or even our fantasy football teams even. You know what I mean? But it's like, why are we not passionate about Jesus? And I started to think about that and pray about that, and the answer that I got was that it's like we want to be, but we feel like at least me, let me say me, because a lot of everything I talk about, even if I'm telling other people, it usually relates to me first. And it was like, well, it's because something's holding me back. There's something in my past that's keeping me from getting to my future. I know where I want to go, and I know how I want to get there, but for some reason, something I did back here is kind of holding me back. And so that happened to me actually this year on the football field. And so, I guess it was our fifth game of the season. We started off 4-0. Everybody thought we were going to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Beat the Patriots and everything. I said, let's go. You know what I mean? I got a sack on Tom Brady. My year was made. But so we started off 4-0, and in the fifth game of the season, we played the St. Louis Rams. We ended up losing that game, which started a 9-game losing streak. And, I heard it's bad. It was bad. It was bad. I feel sorry for y'all's fantasy teams who had us. I'm sorry. But in that game, there was a specific play, and for people who know football a little bit, I play outside linebacker, and my job is to contain the quarterback. Well, there was a specific play where I was like, okay, I'm going to go inside, and let me tell the guy inside of me, hey, you contain, I'm going to go inside, right? Is that you following me? Okay, cool. So I'm just making sure, we got some, football 101. And so I was like, I said, hey, I'm going to go inside, you contain the quarterback. And so I don't know if he heard me or didn't hear me or what. Well, next thing you know, I run inside, the quarterback rolls out and throws a touchdown pass. And we ended up losing that game. And so we go to the sideline, what happened? And they're like, well, Sam was supposed to contain, and so I'm like, well, I thought we go back and forth. And so we watched the film the next day, and so many guys on the team, and even some of the coaches, really some of the guys on the team were, basically giving me a hard time about losing contain. They're like, man, that's the reason we lost the game, because you went inside. If you wouldn't have gone inside, we would have held up the quarterback. They wouldn't have scored. That wouldn't have started them on their run. And so I was like, no, man, that's not what happened. I told this guy that he should have. But but that was what was basically replaying in my head. Like, man, I lost this game for our team. And so I was reminded by some of the guys, and there are some guys, like I said, it's a dark place. There's some guys that are just bad guys. And so they kept on reminding me of it week in and week out and day out, press. And I was like, no, y'all are wrong, whatever. But I didn't realize that was actually holding me back every single week. Instead of having the freedom to sometimes go inside and outside, coaches say, hey, you can go inside as long as you make the play. And this whole offseason, I've been working on my moves to rush the quarterback. But I didn't want to go inside because I was scared that what happened before would happen again. And I didn't realize I was holding me back until week 16, which is the second to last week of the season. I was talking to I have a pass rush coach, and I was talking to him, and he was like, Sam, I don't know what's the problem, because in practice you show a lot of great stuff, but for some reason in the games it's like you're riding a bike on training wheels, and you just don't want to be free. And he reminded me, he's like, you know what it's from? He's like, it's from week 5. And as soon as he said week 5, I was like, that play when I gave up the touchdown, and where the touchdown happened, whatever you want to call it. And he was like, you're still holding on to that. And I was like, I know. And he's like, honestly, Sam, it's in the past. It happened. It's not your fault. Honestly, if you really go back to what happened, it wasn't your fault. The coverage broke down. It's fine. Leave it alone. Move on. You got to move on. And I was like, it was one of those moments where I was like, that has been holding me back for 11 weeks of the season. And so finally, it was week 16 going into week 17. And I was like, all right, I'm moving on. This is done. It's over with. And finally going to week 17, we're playing the San Francisco 49ers. We ended up losing that game. But I had I had by far my best game of my entire football career in that game. So I was going against a left tackle named Joe Staley, who's a Pro Bowler, which means he's voted as one of the best tackles. And I was basically eating his lunch all game. You know what I mean? His lunch and dinner and his snack, whatever else he had. You know what I mean? Like all game, what I didn't realize was that what I did, you know what I mean? I gave him a little leftovers, but he wasn't. And so, but I didn't realize that what had happened 11 weeks ago, and in the season, that's basically like a lifetime for us, that was still holding me back. It was restricting me from being where I wanted to be and from going where I wanted to go and doing what I'd been called to do. You know what I mean? I put in months of work on specific techniques to rush the quarterback and get sacks that I hadn't been practicing because I was scared of what would happen. And so I'm saying that to say that, I let a setback in the past hold me back for almost an entire season. And I think that's what's holding back our generation. That's what's keeping us from changing the world. Simple as that. Because we can do it. We're a people, we're a generation where we put our minds to something and it's done. We're doing it. We're making it, we're fixing it, we're going there, we're doing whatever we want. But I feel like there's something in the back of our heads like, I did this in the past. I don't know if I should go out on that limb. And I feel like God's calling us and he's saying, all right, guys, I know what you did in the past. I know what you did. You asked me for forgiveness. I see everything. I know everything. I forgive you. It's time to move on. Let me be a part of your future. Let go. He says, I know what you did. I forgive you. Move on. Let go. Let's start this future together. And it took me an entire season to realize that. And like I said, it changed everything. It changed everything.
Grace on grace on grace on grace. And grace to the Cardinals this year. But I love your passion to be able to see life, both in your personal life, blessing people, grace on grace, seeing what God is teaching you on the field through a play that you missed, and how you rack that up into your spiritual life and go, man, there's stuff in my own spiritual life that's holding me back. And man, we're just so glad that you're a part of this community, and you're going to share with us to close out our night together in just a few minutes. But, man, we just want to pray for you, and as PhoenixONE, we just want to bless you and say thank you. And again, we're looking forward to hearing him close out our night together. But let's pray for him, and we'll continue our time together. Father, thank you so much for Sam. Thank you for these reminders that grace upon grace is your story. It's Christ in us. And we thank you for a man that has found just great joy in all that you have put in front of him. Thank you for the platform that you continue to give him, and thank you for an example to us of a young professional that is stewarding everything that is yours, that's been given to him for your glory. And God, we want to be those kind of people. We want to be the Sams of our generation. We want to follow his example. We just thank you so much for the testimony and for his story tonight. That is really your story. And God, we want to pray also that you would bless him, that you would give him more, that you would increase his opportunity, that you would help him to be the best football player in the NFL, that God, you would allow him to be one of those guys that stands out amongst the crowd, not only in talent, but also in character and in his love for you. May it leak on to the lives of so many around him as it's leaked on to us tonight. We pray that in Jesus' name. Amen.